Hey everyone, my name is Tarra. I am going to be touching on a lot of sensitive subjects. Some of them might be triggering for those that have sensories to certain aspects, and some of you aren't ready to hear. Because you might come from the generation or culture for which doesn't really talk about it. So if you're religious or of certain ethnic background, just understand that I'm not a woman to shy away from certain subjects. And if you don't want to hear the truth, and this happens to be on Facebook or YouTube, scroll on by. Because if you don't want to hear the truth coming from a disabled person, then you're not ready to hear me. So without further ado, my first subject is based on the issues that I see online, for which a lot of people are too afraid to say to a person's face. One time I saw a post for which a person basically stated that anyone that is on social assistance and or programs meant for people with disabilities, PWD, or persons with developmental disabilities income, or AISH in Alberta, a lot of people think that those people are there because they're lazy. That they only pick up cash work because they don't want to work full time or work at all for that matter. Well, I got news for you. For those that think that people with disabilities of any kind are lazy, I have news for you. There's a reason why they're there. Number one, I didn't ask to have autism or ADHD. I did not ask to be put in the situation that I'm in. Let's put it that way. I worked for many years to get on CPPD. The reason why I'm there is because you need to have a disability in order to get CPPD, Canadian Pension Plan Disability, which is the other end of the Canadian Pension Plan. You still have to pay into these systems through means of working. Now, there's a lot of people out there with disabilities who cannot work because of health or other reasons that are related to medical. And then there is the stereotyping of disabled people within our own work social norms and aspects and environments, for which dictate that if a person has a disability, they're labeled as a liability. How I know is because I've had jobs that literally called me a liability to my face at interviews before I even walked on the floor to show the job master what I could actually do. Yeah, I don't look into my camera a lot because I have to think about what I'm saying. Yeah, my mannerisms and the way I project myself may not be within what you call normal behavioral aspects. The way I communicate might not fall in your normal aspect. The truth is, for a lot of people like me who have invisible disabilities, also have other comorbidities that go along with how they act, dress, talk, socialize. And just because we look a certain way or sound a certain way, we're expected to be able to pick up what you take for granted. The ability to pick up social cues. Sorry to say, but 90% of all language, it doesn't matter if you're from India, Japan, or here in Canada, 90% of all language is through body language. What happens if you have a disability for which is blind to it? That's what social cues are. 90% of social cues happen to be based on body language and tone of your voice. I'm blind to both. It took me many years to pick up the basics. Now imagine being a child with a disability like mine. Sure, to you it looks like that spoiled child, looks like a spoiled child throwing a temper tantrum because mommy didn't want to get that child a certain toy or candy. What happens if it's the environment causing that what looks like to be a temper tantrum? Kids do not have the ability, even neurotypical children, do not have the ability or the experience to tell mommy and daddy that the environment is what's causing them to have sensory overload. And if you are an autistic child, it's even worse, because it's not just the environment that is making you scream or frustrated or cry. When you have sensory issues, it is very debilitating. It is very intrusive on the autistic body. And that never goes away. Now, you mix in the social aspects and the social norms that is expected of everybody and forced upon people like me to emulate those people that are around us so that we blend in, so that we're accepted. But really, you can only emulate so far, because even though that you can mask and do all and pretend to be normal, sorry to say, but there's going to come a time that that mask comes unwound and you have no choice but to take it off, because the social expectations break you down. And it can cause PTSD or other social anxiety aspects, for which make things even more apparent that you have a disability later on in life. You combine menopause in women. Hate to say this. It makes your hormones low. In many aspects, most women who are menopausal and autistic, we're already born with low hormones. Can you imagine what menopause is doing to us? I sure as hell do, because I'm in menopause. I'm peri-menopause. But yet, the materials and the educational systems based around women's health concerning autism or any form of disability is almost non-existent. How I know? I've spent the last 4 years trying to look shit up. And if you don't like swearing, sorry, keep on scrolling, because I'm going to swear. I'll try and keep the swears to a lesser degree so that I don't ruin virgin ears. The other aspect we also need to look at is how we look at disabled populations, both in the workforce and in our social structures. If I'm saying that I cannot read your body language or your tone, that means that I literally can't do it. People have tried many times, many ways, how to get me to do diplomacy, soft skills, and tact, none of which I was never able to master. Some of us autistics are not good actors. Not all of us autistics are good at hiding who we are, because we got one side of society saying, be yourself. When we choose to be ourselves, we get, can you be a little less autistic or a little less abrupt or a little less rude? Well, what happens if that rudeness just so happens to be the autism or the ADHD or other cognitive aspects that makes us tick? I'm sorry if you have a hard time trying to understand that, if you're a neurotypical person without a disability of the cognitive or physical sense. Neurotypical is someone we autistics call someone without a disability of the cognitive neurological aspect. Able-bodied is someone that does not have a physical disability. Well, I'm calling average people neurotypical, or the able-bodied neurotypical. In other words, basically, you don't have any sign whatsoever of a disability. And these are the people that I wish to address this all to. So, understand where I'm coming from. That some people with disabilities are a little bit more complex than you think. Your view, your belief on disability is quite a bit skewed when it comes to understanding the nature of disability and what it should or shouldn't look like. So, I will be making another video concerning these aspects. Thank you.